Welcome back to the Football Fitness Federation podcast. This is episode 265. I'm delighted to be welcoming onto the podcast today, Paulo Carvalho. Paulo, how are we doing?
Good. Thank you, Ben.
No problem.
First of all, thank you for the invitation. And I hope I can answer a little bit about how we do the things here in Benfica.
Definitely. We're going to dive into that in a second. I've not mentioned yet your role. You just mentioned there that the club you're at, Benfica, and I know you've been there for a few years across a few different jobs now as well, and a few different titles with a few different teams as well. So, Paulo, take us back. Give us a little bit of history and background on yourself.
Okay. So I was a kid who couldn't care less about sports. Okay. I was very into science and physics until the age of 12, 13. That's when my schoolmates got me into parkour and later on in judo. So I became very athletic, and that gave me a lot of confidence. So I started to enjoy sports and then competing as a judo athlete. As many of you, unfortunately, I wasn't the most successful athlete, probably because I didn't have the right physical training support, I believe. So I was a very skinny guy that competed in a weight category almost 5 kilos above my weight, and I couldn't pack on any muscle. So that's what really sparked me my interest in this field since my teenage years. I began coaching judo was I won in high school, still in high school, and when the time to pick up the university came, I decided to study sports science and physical education, and I became a gym instructor. I really liked that job, but deep down, I always had this passion to get into high performance training and help athletes, like just I used to be, to reach their full potential. So I hit the books again and enrolled in a fresh strength and conditioning post-graduation course, which I believe was the second edition in the university, because back in 2016, I think the strength and conditioning scene in Portugal was pretty fresh, and I think that was the only course we have in Portugal to specifically for strength and conditioning. After completing, I got an invitation for the ex-head of sports science here in Benfica to come aboard with the team. One more time, I couldn't care less about football. Okay? I was a kid who with no uh, with no not very good in collective sports, and I was more for individual sports like judo, parkour, gymnastics. So collective sports is not my area. It was not my passion at all. But um, it's life. So since my internship in rugby, I started in rugby here in Benfica as an intern. And since the internship in rugby went really well, and the co-worker uh, left from the youth football in that time, I was asked to step into to youth football, and that's how I landed the first role as a sports scientist and strength and conditioning coach for the under 14 and the under 15 youth football squad. Yeah. After spending 3 years in that position, um, I have always been very focused on development, and I really enjoy the methodological and strategical aspects of the strength and conditioning part and the sport science. So I was asked to work with the humans youth teams, trying to introduce some of the methodologies we already have in the males part to this new setting. And that marked the first year with a dedicated strength and conditioning coach for the human youth teams. Yeah.
Brilliant. There's a lot to break down there, Paulo, and I want to dive into some of that in a second.
Yeah.
But just to start us off, you mentioned there about the sort of lack of opportunity in terms of the university degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you say that progression is at now in Portugal in terms of clubs buying into utilizing sports science and strength conditioning? Where are they at currently, would you say?
Okay. Yeah. I think since then the job and the area is really great, gaining a lot of traction here, and almost all the clubs, even the more not professional or amateur
Yeah.
clubs, are investing in strength and conditioning now, and is letting a little bigger than was before, for sure. All the main clubs now have a good department of sports science department, and they work with load monitoring, physical preparation for the teams, and all that. Some amateur clubs are investing in that too, but now what we start to happen, we have a lot of strength and conditionings, and we don't have a lot of jobs, because to a full-time job only the big clubs can afford to pay a, a good salary to live on strength and conditioning.
Yeah, no, it's good to hear that there's going to be opportunities though over the next few years, because you'd like to think that more jobs become available. I wanted to touch on your experience as well. I love the fact that you fully admit the lack of passion about football and sport in general, but I find that fascinating as well from your experience as an athlete in terms of the individual sports, judo, parkour, gymnastics, the things that you've mentioned. So when you first got your experience within the team setting within football, what were some of your initial thoughts? How did you feel like you could impact the team the most with the work that you did?
Yeah. So back in the day in Benfica, we were all about strength training and injury prevention in the gym. Okay, so we only stepped into the field for some basic warm-ups and injury rehabilitation. So when I arrived to the youth male teams, I fortunately had a good mentor that gave me a lot of insights about what is to be a physical preparation coach in football, because I think in football is different from the other modalities. Football has a lot of myths and a lot of traditions in the culture that we need to speak football to be a good physical preparation coach in football. So, and when I arrived, because I said before, I couldn't care less about football. Okay, so I needed to learn a lot about the sport, and that was the first thing I needed to do to be successful in this job.
So in terms of that learning about the sport and learning about possibly why clubs traditionally do the things that they do or did, what was your initial approach to that? What were some of the things that you wanted to know first off that would inform
Mhm.
your practice
Yeah.
and the programming that you were going to do?
Fortunately, I was in the biggest club in Portugal with I think the better coaches I I could have. So I learned a lot, and I still learn a lot from them. And I needed to learn what is football, how we train the football players to play as the coaches want, and what they need to play as the coaches want in terms of physical preparation. So I started in a really basic way, trying to give them the general physical uh, abilities, strength, especially strength and power, because in the early days we we only do that, and then we started to have more conversations with the coaches and start to um, like to see to identify some things we as a strength and conditioning coach could um, step in and work with the players in the field. So that that's where my passion in parkour and with the movement um, came in. So we started to discuss things like about running technique, field agility in the field, coordination, multi-sports training, and I think that was uh, the first step to start to including the physical preparation more in the field with the coaches. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I know you mentioned before about initially being on the men's or the boys' side of the academy and
Mm-hmm.
transitioning over to the women's side. So we're going to touch on that in a little bit. But I'm really interested to hear how you utilized your experience of those sports that you've just mentioned, parkour, gymnastics, and judo, within that physical preparation of your players. Because there are obviously three sports disciplines where a lot of clubs probably across the world are using elements of gymnastics, probably of parkour as well. Maybe not so much of judo, but the fact that you had that understanding of those sports, what was the initial way that you implemented that working with the players?
Yeah, yeah, because I was with very young players. The the initial approach was trying to give them some movement training alongside football. So we start to do in the warm up. We start to do some multi-sports training, including some parkour uh, courses and animal flow and animal walks, movements, and sometimes when the coaches want more um, aggressiveness for the players, I tried to incorporate a little bit of judo and um, fighting games. I know for teaching judo to kids in the warm ups for the football players. And it was a really good experience, and the coaches liked. So that's how I put my experience in individual sports in the in the collective or for the collective advantage of the team. Yeah.
I think it also highlights the importance of, I suppose, celebrating your individuality as a coach as well, because you've got experiences there that not a lot of coaches have got, especially coaches working in football. So to utilize those skills, I think is really important, isn't it? Like for other coaches, they should learn from that. It might not be the same thing. It probably isn't the same thing. But the fact that you could utilize those skills with the team that you're working with, I think is really important, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I always feel like feel different because I never played football as a player. I played football in school, playing with my mates, but not as a football player. Um, so I need to have another or other tools to engage with the coaches and to engage with the players. And my approach was trying to be the confident, but the developer. So I'm here to help you. I'm I don't know anything about football, or I don't know uh, as much as you know. You
Yeah.
know a lot more than me. I know that what I'm really good in developing athletes, and I'm trying to um, uh, transform you as football players in really good athletes to be to in the future to be a better football player. So yeah, and I think the my experience, not as a football player but as a different kind of athlete, uh, was some impact in how the players see me and how the coach see me. So it it was really hard in the beginning to have the confidence of them, but with the time and with the results for in the athletes, so that they are becoming more athletes and they are becoming more athletic, and they started to have more confidence in me, um, and that's when I could really use my experience uh, to implement other stuff like I said before, the movement training, the speed and agility. Yeah.
So the approach you took with them was to initially try and get some results that the players and the coach could see, whether that was
Mm-hmm.
improving speed, strength, whatever we're talking about. And then you were able to, once you got that buy-in and that confidence, that's when you were able to utilize other aspects of your philosophy and your training. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. That's a key point. Paulo, you also mentioned before about, I suppose, one of the benefits of not being so passionate about football and being involved in football is the fact that you can look at the way we prepare players and remove any sort of bias, because you're just looking at it from a perspective of why do we do the things that we do. So what stood out for you? Was there anything initially that not just your club, but other clubs were doing where you were just questioning, saying, like, I don't understand why you would do this and why you wouldn't do this instead? Or why'd you spend so much time doing this and not this? Was there anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, I think I I grow up a lot as a practitioner, um, and I learned a lot um, with the coaches, uh, and I think the main advantage is I don't have the biases and I don't have the myths, so I can bring some new thing to the table, and using all my experience, all my knowledge, what the literature say is better, and trying to implement. One advantage is I'm with the young player, so it's easier to implement new things and try new things and see how the things going and how it works. Um, and I think it's that's the main advantage. I remembered uh, a lot of resistance about um, strength training in the beginning, and that strength training uh, was not good for the football players, and they arrived the pitch with sore legs, and yeah. So, and one of our goals was trying to um, make the coach forget that, and we try to uh, I think that's when we try to microdose more, and give them the stimulus, and but don't overload them. So when they arrive to the pitch, they still have fresh legs to run, and I think that's one of the turning points when we start to see the gym not has the the main part, because it was the only thing we do, but we try to see the gym as a complement for the sport. um, and I think, like I said, I think we grow up together. We as a physical preparation start to see the things and especially me, because I'm not in the football. I don't have a football background. Start to see the physical preparation more for the performance in the field with the coaches, and the coaches start to see that the physical preparation was really important to keep the players healthy and to progressively give them more tools and more abilities to be better in football. So I think it was like a relationship when all of us work together, we grow up together. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. I think one thing you need to stop saying, no, Paulo, is that you didn't have experience in football, because you've now got, how long have you been at the club? 6 years now.
Yeah, 6 years.
So you're picking that experience in football now. Has the one thing that I'm sure everyone will want to know, the passion for football, has that changed?
Yeah, a lot, obviously.
That's good. That's good. That's good to hear. Paulo, I want to move now into your current role, because I know you're now with the women's team and the youth
Mhm.
women's team in Benfica. So what squads do you oversee now?
Okay, so I oversee all the youth teams, but I'm responsible for the B team.
Okay.
So here we have B team, under 90, under 70, under 15, under 13. So I'm with the B team, and I have two interns with the other teams that I oversee.
Brilliant. So you went into this role a couple of years ago, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what was the program like across those squads when you first came into that role in terms of the physical program?
Yeah. So yeah, when I first came in, only the B team have had like 1 or 2 gym sessions a week. Uh, only only strength training with the first team strength and conditioning, one of the first team strength and conditioning coaches, and all the other young teams um, only have the coaches and don't have any physical preparation at all.
So what was the
And when
first step that you took then, Paulo, in terms of taking control of that program?
yeah, of course, I needed to focus on the later teams, the B team and the under 90. But since the beginning, I I tried to create a curriculum from all the teams, uh, different from the males part. The humans part is still developing a lot. So from one year to the other, we see a lot of changes and um, a lot of advances. So when I arrived, I said, okay, I will start with the B team because he's next to the professional team. So these players needed more of physical preparation to reach the A team, the professional team, better prepared. But I will start to create like a step approach in the other teams. So I started with under 13, started to do uh, a real simple work of multi sports in the warm ups and some coordination, and then um, our goal was the work we do with the under 15 this year is the work we want to do with the under 13 next year. So that was our approach.
So it just basically filtered down through the age groups until you covered
Yeah,
all the age groups, and then they were onto a program. And what
yeah.
does that look like now in terms of the progression across those 2 years?
So the under 13, because it's the first um, age group we have, and like almost all the teams we have, they are 1 or 2 years earlier than the team name. So the under 13 have 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
They only do some coordination. They still do coordination in multi-sport. The under 15 starts to do some strength training, but soft with soft resistance, like resistance bands, some medicine balls, sandbags, and obviously the body weight. And our goal for the under 15 is to end the season with good body weight control and good um, strength for their body weight.
Yeah.
The under 17 start to do a little bit more resistance training, more uh, traditional resistance training, uh, and it's when we um, break the team into parts because it's the team we have with more differences between maturation. So we have the less mature girls doing some work more similar to the under 15s, and more mature girls doing work more similar with the under 19 in the gym. Two times a week. Yeah. And then in the under 70, we start to implement some basic speed and agility work in the warm-ups too. They started to do some running technique. They started to do some races. We started to look to the running technique and try to give them exercises to correct some fundamental and basic stuff like the posture, like some positions, and in the under 19. Now we are starting in B team 2. We are starting to use the gym. So until the under 19, they don't use the gym. They do the strength training on field. Under 19 and under B team, they use the gym. They do a basic program, basic strength training program with the fundamental patterns, especially in the under 90. And in B team, I like to keep the main exercises for every athlete, apart from some alternative I need to give. So for some players that don't feel comfortable with some exercise, but I like to keep the main exercises the same to give them some competition, to have some fundamental patterns in the program, and then in the B team. And we started to do in the under 19 too. We had a block of individualized work. Some of the work for injury mitigation, some muscle activation exercises, some mobility exercises, but some of the work for their weaknesses or for their needs. If the player needs to work on the acceleration, we give in the gym, we give them the exercise for work on acceleration. If the player needs more muscle mass in this block, they're gonna do hypertrophy work. So, and in the field, we'll try to incorporate a lot more with the coaches, having some goals, some technical, tactical goals in the speed and agility exercises, and monitoring that exercises to see if they transfer to the sport or not. And we are always connecting with and always chatting and discussing with the coaches how to evolve or how to progress or how to regress the speed and agility exercises to be more specific to the goals, but always keep the physical part in the warm-ups too. So we always want them to reach maximum velocity once per week, maximal acceleration, maximal deceleration, and work to increase the acceleration, deceleration, and change of direction ability. But we have an exercise with the coaches that is specifically for one technical tactical team in every warm up. I don't know if you understand, but
No, definitely. That was a great breakdown from what's going on at each age group. I just wanted to go back to, you mentioned about, I think it was from under 19s, that's when they start using the gym. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that more due to like logistics of the gym being available, or is that choice to get the girls in the gym at that age and beforehand they can get everything done on the pitch?
Yeah. No, it's only logistics because we don't have a centralized space to work. So we work in different fields near the stadium of
Yeah.
when the main team of Benfica plays. So we have the gym in the stadium, and the gym is utilized for all the indoor teams and indoor sports teams too. So uh, we we need to uh, give some so prioritize the teams we want in the gym, and
Yeah.
the other teams they need to do the work on the pitch.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you touched on another area that I wanted to cover with you, and that's the individual approach to programming. I know you've
Mm-hmm.
mentioned there that you're using some activation, some kind of prehab based work. So does that only come at the later stage of when they're getting up to the under 19s, or are they getting any sort of individual programming before that as well?
Yeah. So the the under 70 have some individualized work, but um, for groups, so no individualized work for injury mitigation or weaknesses, but for groups of maturation. So that's when we start. We start to break them into groups, one with the more mature players, one with the less mature players, and they have some differences in the program um, uh, because of that. Only under 19 and B team that have the individualized programs to injury mitigation and weaknesses in the gym and in the field. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. You've also mentioned there about maturation. So I'm guessing
Mm-hmm.
that's something that you are monitoring throughout the process of the sort of academy journey of the girls as well. Is that right?
Yeah, it's really a recent process. We started like mm, last year, I think. Um, it's one of the things I I I stole from the males part. So in the males part, we already do that for some years,
Yeah.
and we started to implement that in the girls part. Um, and we are for now we are only um, um, so we are only um, uh, gathering information for the for height, sitting height, and weight
Yeah.
for the different players, and we are starting to create some reports for the coaches. But for now, we we are only using the data for break into groups and to have some idea about the maturation status. Um, we are not yet doing a lot of with that information, but we are in the process of starting to give that information to the coaches, to try to do some bio-banding experiences, to individualize a little bit more the work with the injuries we see in the different um, we see more in the different maturation stages, and that's what I think we'll try to do in the next steps. Yeah.
And just to wrap us up, Paulo, in terms of that, like the future of the program at the club, you've obviously been very innovative in your approach and made a lot of additions to the program that's got it to the point that it's at right now. But I imagine for someone like yourself, you're not going to just accept where it's at, and you're going to want to keep driving it forward. So what is the next like layer? What's the next step that you see within the program for the club?
Yeah. I think the maturation is going to be uh, a really the fundamental of that evolution for the program. That's one of the main goals we have for now, and I think when the other evolution was needs to be the more individualized work based on their needs, not only in the gym where it's easy because there are less players, they are in the confined space, we have time to work in with each of them, but also in the pitch too. So now we in the B team in the under 90 with the GPS we have we can individualize a little bit more the conditioning and technical tactical part, and give to the coaches some physical goals for the exercises. But I think we need to do that since the under 70 at least, to prepare the girls better when they reach the A team. And the other crucial evolution I think we need is to be even more in communication and in integration with all the staff around the team, from the technical coaches to the nutritionists and to be a better multidisciplinary team, uh, and to work all of us work for the performance of the performance and development of the individual player, and not not looking all uh, for the team. So look more for the individual and not the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Paulo, it sounds like you're doing some brilliant work over there. And I know you've taken the program on a lot over the last 2 years, and it'll be great to see the progression over the next couple of years as well. So keep up the brilliant work. In terms of people connecting with you, where would you direct them if they want to message you, if they want to ask a question about what you're doing over there? Is there anywhere that you direct them, either social media or email? What's the best way to get in contact?
Yeah, I think the best place is LinkedIn or Twitter and Instagram. But Instagram for me is more personal.
Yeah.
But yeah, but LinkedIn and Twitter, I'm always willing to discuss and to talk about these teams, and I'm always learning. That's my motto.
Brilliant. Well, Paulo, I really appreciate you coming on and giving up the time to come on the podcast. We've had it planned in for a little bit, so I'm really grateful for you giving up your time. And yeah, keep up the great work and stay in touch.
Yeah, thank you, Ben.